Everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. And like the convener just introduced me, my name is Olajumoke, and today I'll be speaking on daring to build with boldness and courage. And today we'll be looking at lessons from history, we'll be looking at lessons from faith and also visionaries. Can everyone hear me? You can just indicate in the chat box.
Yes, I can hear you from here.
Thank you. Just a second again. And so today, the first question I'm going to be asking is, so what does it mean to actually build with courage and boldness, right? The topic is already like daring to build with courage and boldness and courage. So what does it mean to actually build with courage and boldness? And so from my own, like what I've come up with, and you can also put in the chat box what it means, what you think it means to build with courage and boldness. And for me, that's going beyond fear and also taking initiatives in uncertainty. Another thing is trusting vision over visible evidence. Also enduring opposition and failure. And so you can put it in the chat box what you think, because this is like a discussion. So what does it mean to build with courage and boldness? What does it mean to you? And of course, I'm very sure that I must have heard this quote before, that courage isn't the absence of fear, it is actually taking action in spite of it. And so courage is not because, oh, the person is not actually scared or I'm not actually like afraid, but it's the fact that I actually even went on to do that thing, even in the midst of fear. And so I know that, of course, we all face moments where we must choose between comfort or courage. And that's the difference between people that actually go on to do great things and people that do not. You know, that moment of choosing, oh, I just want to be in my comfort zone, please. I'm good at this. Let me just stay here. Or I don't want to do it. I just want to be safe. Right. And so that's like a difference. Or courage, being courageous and just saying, yes, let me go for it. I don't know what it's going to turn out to be, but I'm going in this thing. I'm going for this thing with faith. I'm, giving everything I have to do this. And bold builders go beyond fear to fulfill purpose. And today we'll be looking at 3 different examples. And that's one of a founding father, another is a faith-driven inventor, and another one is a patriarch in a time of famine. And so who can guess who the founding father is? Or the faith-driven inventor? Or you can just mention different founding fathers you think, maybe has empowered you, has pushed you, or you've learned from their stories, like even to like do great things. Or maybe a faith-driven inventor, you really love a story or a story and you're like, oh, if this person could do this thing, then I can. We can also put it in the chat box. Okay. Then, so the first person we'll be talking about is Benjamin Franklin. I'm very sure we know about this person. And so he's a visionary inventor and of course a nation builder. And who he was, one of the founding fathers of the United States, and he was an inventor, publisher, and diplomat. And like all of us here, he made bold acts. He started a printing business at 17. At 17 years old, he actually started a business. And he founded the first public library, fire department, and university in America. Another thing he did was drafted the Declaration of Independence. And these are bold moves, right? Even from him starting at the age of 17. You could imagine what was going through his mind. You could imagine what he was like equipping himself with and maybe the books he was reading or people he was listening to. And the key courage lesson from here is that he actually dared to dream big in a new world. And so he really necessarily did not see people that had maybe gone ahead of him to do all these things, but he dreamed big. He knew that, oh, a lot of things are still like possible. And he didn't even wait for approval, right? He built systems no one asked for, but everyone needed. So he could see the need even in the society that he was at that time. And he went for it. He wasn't waiting for people to say, oh, yes, actually, we need this. Yes, okay, and please help us do this. He knew that this was essential. And when no one even asked, he became the solution provider. He created something everybody needed. And one of his quotes is, well done is better than well said. And from these quotes, I can like take a lot of lessons from it, right? It's something to say something, oh yeah, this is what we're going to do, and everybody's clapping, like, oh yes, great, great, great. But when people tell you well done, it's because an action has been taken. And they're like, wow, well done. You can be talking to me and telling me, oh, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, oh, wow, well said. Great, great, great. But without doing it, it's still going to be at well said. And there's something, I think it was Ibukun Wishka that said this, that, the solution to all problems in the world, we already have the solution to all problems in the world. And I'm like, when she said, I'm like, oh, okay. But then she ended it like, oh, but they're actually like written down. And so the solutions to all problems in the world, they are written somewhere. Someone must have written it somewhere. But you think the difference and the reason why there's still a lot of problems is because, okay, we're not actually taking these actions. For example, even all these conferences that we converge for and everything, when they go and discuss things, everything they're discussing there, someone must have written it down somewhere. People will have even discussed that before, right? The difference between all these things is the action we take. It's not just about, oh yeah, we are doing this conference or we are doing this thing, and at the end of it all, okay, fine, key takeaways, these are the things we need to do. That is great. And the conferences are wonderful. But the important thing here is by doing those things. And that's how everywhere will be better. And so this is what Benjamin Franklin did, right? He did those things. He didn't just write it in paper. It's very important to write things we want to do down. Very important. But he didn't just write it down. Oh, yes, okay, I want to start a printing business. This, writing the plan and everything. But it took that step. He did it. He didn't just say, oh, I think we need a public library. Oh, yeah, okay, this is what it takes and everything. But it took that step and he went for it, right? The fire department too. It was needed. It took that step. And even the university in America, it took that step. It didn't just say, oh, okay, this is what we need. And even drafting the Declaration of Independence. Then the other person we're discussing today is R.G. Lutonau. And who he was a poor student turned industrial genius. And so the thing is, it's not like, oh, maybe all of them actually maybe came from wealthy backgrounds or oh, they had everything it took to obviously do what they wanted to do. So, I mean, it's a different story. No, this man was a poor student, right? But then he turns to an industrial genius. And one thing he invented, I think we must have heard this before, right? And is that the Christian businessman who moved Earth. And one thing he invented was it was the inventor of massive earth moving machines. And one thing he's really known for is known as God's businessman. And so he partnered with God with everything he did. And his bold act was he gave away 90% of his business profit to God's work because he knew he had that belief that, okay, everything actually belongs to God. Like everything we have today, it all came from God. And so he knew that, oh, yes, for me to actually, even my business is God's business. I'm just like the caretaker of this thing. And he faced financial failure multiple times. So it's not like, oh, it just, when he started business and everything just worked so well. No. But the difference is that he didn't give up on that. He ensured that, he tried again and again. And one thing he did was that he partnered faith with engineering. Of course, it was well in it. He didn't just say, oh, yeah, of course, I went to school. I'm so like learned, I know these things, but he put his faith, to work. And he trusted God with everything. So he gave it all to God. And the key courage lesson from here is that he dared to trust God in business, and he used faith as a blueprint for innovation. And one of his quotes is that, and which is very important, very, very vital, was that he said, the question is not whether God is in your plans. The question is actually whether you are in God's plan. So that's it. It's not about, oh God, I want you to be in my plan. No. Are we actually in God's plan? So, and that was what he lived by. He ensured that it was always like, oh, ensuring that God, I'm in your plan, and not God, you're in my plan. Please, we can put it in the chat box, like anything we might have like been taken from this, because I want it to be like a conversation and not just me talking, right? Then also we're looking at Isaac. Yeah, I put Isaac Abraham, of course, just for us to know like it's Abraham's son, right? And so I'll be talking about him from a story in Genesis 26. We digging the wells. And so Isaac redug his father Abraham's wells. But one thing that happened was that he faced opposition and sabotage from locals, in Gera. And so what he did was, after he dug the first well, they were like, oh, there was like opposition. He was like, okay, fine, he left it. He tried again the second time. He didn't give up. He did it again the second time, another opposition. At that time, it could have been like, oh, no, I don't think I'm supposed to even dig this well at all. We can just move from here and just, do something else. But no, he dug it again for the third time. And after he dug it for the third time, then no, there was no opposition. And at that point, it named the name of the well Rehoboth, and which means like now the Lord has made room for us. And so he didn't give up the first, second, and the third time, the Lord made room for them. And one thing we can learn from his bold acts is that he actually refused to quit despite being blocked repeatedly. You could have thought, oh, I don't think maybe God wants me to be here. But he kept moving forward in faith. And so building sometimes means redigging old things. It might not necessarily be, oh, maybe building new things. It might just be even, improving on what has been built already. And it could mean facing rejection, and still not giving up. And from Genesis 26:22, which I wrote here, that he moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. There was no dispute over that one. And he named it Rehoboth. Right now, the Lord has made room for us. And so from even these three people that I raising as an example today, their key similarities, there are things they had in common. And we can start mentioning what we think they actually had in common, from Benjamin Franklin to Lutonau to Isaac. What do you think they had in common? We can put that in the chat box before I go to my next slide. What do you think they had in common? There are some, themes they had in common. So yes, I love this from Damilare. He said, if God is in my plan, that means I am the senior in the partnership. Exactly. You put it so well. However, if I am in God's plan, He is in charge. In the second case, success is sure. Exactly. You have said it so well. And Stephen also said, okay, well done is better than well said. Yes, that's very important. Okay, yes. So Damilare says they had faith in God in common. Okay. But again, did they have in common from someone else? What again? You can put that in the chat box. Okay. Let me go to the next slide then. And so common threads, like what do they teach us? Like what they have in common, right? And so they were visionaries, of course. They had faith. They were persistent. So persistence, that's another thing they had in common. They were innovative. Of course, they were generous. They thought about like other people. It wasn't just about themselves. Looking at Benjamin Franklin, he tried to do things that was going to benefit other people. It wasn't about, oh, things that were just going to benefit me. It looked at the need of the people and it ensured that, it could provide solution to them. And resilience, they were all resilient. Leadership, that's another important thing. They led people. And obedience, they obeyed, they trusted God, they believed, and of course, trust in God. And all of them built with boldness, with courage. And all of them refused to quit. And so that's one of the difference even between a successful person is that successful people don't quit. They might, for a moment, maybe retreat and try to like, oh, okay. But even in that process of retreating, it's not quitting. It's more like, oh, okay, maybe, trying to see, okay, what have we done well? What have we not done well? How can we improve on this? And they launch out again. And so, but people that do not go on to do things end up quitting, like, oh, I don't think that idea is going to work. Let's just stop it there. There was a story I heard about a man, I can't remember his name now, but I read in one of the books that at that time he was trying to like dig for gold, right? So they were digging, they were digging, they were digging. They didn't see the gold, they kept digging for days. But however, at the point, he just gave up that no, he does not think that gold can be found like in that particular place, right? And then he sold all the machines to someone else. And the person I wanted to buy it was like, oh, what happened? Like, what were they trying to do? And he explained that, oh no, he wants to sell it that land, there are no gold in the land. That he's very sure about that. And then he sold even those machines for a very cheap price. And after he did that, that person that bought that machine actually now thought, oh, okay, he said he was trying to dig for gold. Let me just go back there and just even see. At least now I have the machines. That man was curious. He was like, let me go and see. Normally, he could have been like, oh, yeah, I said there's no gold. That's fine. Let me just use the machines for other things. But he went back there. He took, people along with him there. And that same land, that man just had to dig for some time. Like it didn't even take like more than a day. It was just, that difference of when you're digging for a well and you're about to meet water and then you stop. That was just what happened. And so it just took for a short time and then they found gold. So who made the money at the end of the day? Who became wealthy at the end of the day? The man that bought the equipment. If the first man had actually just waited and continued for a short time, he would have been the one. And when that man now heard that they found gold there, he was now trying to fight that new man that no, it's my machine, it's my land, and all these things. But at the end of it all, the person that bought the machine, won because he was one that actually found those gold. And so that's one lesson there. That man gave up earlier. If he had just persisted, if he had just continued, he would have actually been very wealthy. And the practical takeaways here is that we should start where we are. Like Franklin, who started as a printer's apprentice, right? That's how we actually started. So he didn't just start that, oh, I just want to start my business. He started as an apprentice, and that's why he decided to go and start his own business. And another thing is that we need to partner with God. Very important. Like Lutonel giving his business to God. And also we should push through persistence. Like Isaac digging again and again and again until he found his real boat. And another important thing is that we should build for impact, not applause. And we should be willing to be misunderstood, because most times not everyone's going to understand what we're trying to do. Some people even tell you, it's enough now, like it's okay. You don't have to continue this thing, like it's okay. But as far as you already know what God has like put in your heart, and you know that this is it, no matter what, even if people are going to misunderstand, just continue doing that, continue digging, continue doing what God has committed into our hands. And so there's this call to action here, which is, what is God actually calling you to build? That's very important. You actually have to even know what God is calling you and I to build. We have to know that. And what well must you redig with boldness? What is that thing that maybe you're actually even giving up on? Like, I just want to quit this thing. But what is that thing that you actually must even redig? And where do you need to walk in courage rather than comfort? That's another important question for us to ponder upon. And so I'll be leaving us here with dare to build, dare to believe, and dare to move forward. And after this, we'll be having group discussions. And these are the questions for the group discussion. And then our convener will be back to lead us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Olajumoke. I believe we've all learned a lot from today's session. So we are going to go briefly into our group and